So where do we start when addressing Cassette Beasts? Probably the obvious. If you like Pokemon, this will at least pique your interest. Cassette Beasts is a creature collector, but a bit of a weird one. Let me also go ahead and mention I'm only using footage up to the first boss. Basically the tutorial section of the game, because it handholds you up until that point. I've completed about a third of the game's story at the time of writing, so now you know where I stand and why I'm using such early game footage to avoid spoilers, because this is actually an interesting story for a game. So, let's talk about the gameplay loop first before we actually start touching on the story. Gameplay is pretty reminiscent of a lot of other creature collectors. You and one companion head out and complete quests while collecting recordings of monsters. These recordings take the form of cassettes, which seems a bit odd, but gets explained in the story, so there's no point in diving into it here. When you are battling, you and your companion can take the form of any beast you've recorded, and you gain some traversal abilities by recording different beasts. So it's important for exploration as well. So more or less, instead of launching them out of a Pokeball, you'll pop in a cassette tape, and I guess whatever magical audio is playing over it transforms your character into the creature that you recorded the audio of. Future me jumping in here to add in one thing that I forgot. The battle system is actually a builder-spender type of system. So you have to do certain basic attacks to actually build up ability points, and then you spend them on the higher attacks. Not quite sure how I got all the way through recording the previous audio and forgot to mention that aspect of it, but there you go. Where things get interesting is that you can, after filling up a meter, and once you get to a certain point in the story, fuse with your companion. So functionally fuse two different beasts together and make a unique new creature. Now, it's functionally just the two individual beasts with all their moves merged into one, with one exception, but you don't open that up until companionship rank 2. So it's not like there's a huge number of changes in terms of what happens, but you get this nice aesthetic change where the fusion comes together and forms this brand new third creature. So while there's only 120 baseline creatures, the fusions add a whole lot of variety into the aesthetics of the game. There's also a lot of interesting gameplay strategies involving fusion, such as buffing just before fusing to boost the time of buffs or to play around with status effects. You really are just taking the two creatures and squishing them together. Personally, I think the fusion mechanic is more interesting in the sense that monsters can also appear as fusions as well, so it makes for some really unique encounters out in the wild and adds a lot of variety to overworld combat in the long run, and this is actually, from what I understand, part of where the endgame focus is. Obviously not at endgame, this is initial impressions video.